identified. Just state your name and address if you are, if the public is going to participate remotely. Tonight, there are only 4 board members. Which means you need a 4-0 vote in order for the variance application to pass. If you want to continue this hearing until such a date where the board has a full board member or 5 members, you are welcome to do that. Let me read this, the note, the advertisement into the record here. The Zoning Board of Appeals will be meeting remotely until further notice. The video and audio conference application will be done by Zoom for this purpose. Notice is hereby given in accordance with Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 48, Section 11 and 15. A virtual remote public hearing will be held by the Rockland Zoning Board of Appeals on Tuesday, July 1st, 2025 at 7:30 p.m. on the application submitted by Jeff and Renee Armstrong, 64 Shaw Road, Rockland, Mass, for a dimensional variance pursuant to zoning bylaws section 415-22B, building and lot regulations. The applicant seeks to erect a 28-foot by 30-foot attached garage, requesting relief from the 50-foot rear yard setback. The property is located in the R2 residence zoning district, section 415-9 of the zoning bylaw, and is identified as lot 63, map 20 on the Rockland Assessors map. The owners of the property are Jeff and Renee Armstrong, 64 Shaw Road, Rockland, Massachusetts, 02370. Mr. Armstrong, you're present. As I mentioned earlier, we are down 1 board member tonight. You're requesting that the board approve a dimensional variance, and that will mean that it requires 4 votes in favor to approve your project, which means you need all 4 votes from the board. If you want to wait until we have a 5-member vote board, you can, you're welcome to do that. Do you understand what I'm saying? You're muted, sir, I believe.
What's that?
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Understand? Yeah, we're okay with just moving forward.
With you need the approval from every board member. You understand that?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So
I'll make a motion to open the public hearing.
What was that, Mr. Baker?
I'll make a motion to open the public hearing.
Okay, we have a motion to open, seconded. A roll call vote. Mr. Galley?
Yes.
Mr. Baker Sr.?
Yes.
Mr. Baker Jr.?
Yes. And
I'm a yes. Okay, so the public hearing is now opened. Mr. Armstrong, you don't have any representation here with you, is that correct?
I do not.
Okay. So would you like to explain to us what you are proposing to do?
Yes, I am proposing for the 28 by 30 garage with a breezeway between the house and the garage, which I would like to tie into the existing doghouse, just because it's the easiest way to get into the house without having to. We already have a set of stairs to get into the basement from that breezeway, so it just makes sense, but unfortunately that doghouse is into the setback.
Mr. Baker Senior, do you have any questions for the applicant?
The existing deck, did that get a variance for it? When it's put up, do you know?
The deck,
Yes,
um,
on the right side by the pool.
that was, I mean, the deck was existing when we bought the house as well, so.
The paved driveway, is that just going to be a one-car garage or two?
It's gonna be, well, it's gonna be 2-car garage, but with the driveway is gonna stay basically the way it is. It's just gonna get wider as it goes into the garage.
All right, that's all I have for now, Greg.
Okay, Mr. Baker Junior?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Armstrong, I'm looking at your application for the dimensional variance. I don't know if you have a copy of it near you or.
I can bring it up on the side.
Well, I can tell you what I'm referencing. Number 12 on the application says that if you're applying for a dimensional variance, state in detail any specific condition that affects the shape, soil topography, or structures on the lot. Essentially, it's asking you what particularly it is about the lot that would require a variance, or speak for a variance, I guess is a better way of putting it. There are certain things you need to demonstrate or that need to be demonstrated for us to vote for a variance. And I'd like a little information about the specifics of your property that would make it appropriate.
I'm a little confused by the question, but I think the only reason I needed was the variance was because of the doghouse, which is on the house right now. I just plan on using that back wall for the whole structure.
Mr. Baker, do you mind if because this application was in this transition of Deb leaving and me trying to take on that role. And
Sure. Yeah.
I have maybe a little bit of feedback that might be helpful that like Tom provided and Deb had shared with us.
Absolutely.
So when Mr. Armstrong came in to apply for the garage, Tom Rubel noted that there was an existing doghouse that he should line it up for exactly what he just said for entrance. So that you're not having to go out of the house to get back into the house. It is short. It needs relief by 3.45 feet. It made more sense to line it up with the doghouse than to have it like forefronting and have like a bump out that was still not compliant. And so it really wouldn't have impacted the nonconformity in the sense that the doghouse was already non-conforming. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So, and correct me if I'm wrong, it would be significantly more expensive. And in terms of other problems it would cause, perhaps necessitating additional variances.
Correct. It was like the path of least resistance.
Right. And yes. And again, correct me if I'm wrong, but this approach was taken at the recommendation of Mr. Rubel?
Correct.
Okay. I have nothing further, and thank you for the information now.
Sure.
Thank you, folks.
Thank you.
And so, I do have a question. The doghouse, right? That's just an access point from the rear of the house. Is that correct?
Yeah, correct. It's just a set of stairs with a landing, leaving the basement to get to the backyard.
Okay, so so it's not is it a partial walkout basement?
I mean, I guess you could call, it's not really like, it's not grade level. You have to walk up, a set of stairs to get out, but
Okay. Rather
essentially,
than, okay, so rather than a bulkhead, you've got it's
correct.
a
Correct.
roof over it with a door and an access way.
Yep.
Now that the doghouse is an existing non-conforming portion of your structure.
Right.
And that is non-conforming from what I understand here by 4 feet, the doghouse,
Right.
because it's 46. If I'm reading the plan, I mean, my plan isn't that clear, but it looks like you've got a dimension of 46 off the doghouse. And then you've got off the property line, off your proposed garage, it's 46.5 off the rear property line. So it looks like you're extending the nonconformity, but not to a greater extent, actually to a lesser extent than the nonconformity of the existing structure. I'm thinking this could have been done with a Section 6 finding rather than a variance, because you're already non-conforming. Does any other does the board see this in a different light?
I can share that, that the dimensional variance, I believe, was vetted by Bob Galvin. For whatever reason.
It was vetted by Bob Galvin.
I believe that he gave the feedback that this was a dimensional variance. Let me look through my emails. Can you hold on for a minute?
Sure.
Discuss amongst yourselves. I shall return.
Sure. Mr. Baker Senior, do you have any opinions on this? Or Mr. Baker Junior, whichever?
I don't.
I
Right.
agree, I kind of agree with you, Greg, that the addition is a half a foot less than what the existing structure is now for the non-conforming.
Yeah. So
They've actually kind of squared the back off. So it looks straight, because if you went to the 46 on the left corner,
Yeah.
you wouldn't, it wouldn't look right. Because you'd only be 23 and a half feet on it wouldn't, I think it makes more sense to square that off like it is.
I agree. They, you would want to square it off. It just so happens that when they square it off, the corner that's closest to the side property line is more conforming than the existing portion of the doghouse. So it certainly is more non-conforming, and it certainly isn't excessively more non-conforming.
Right.
So I was just curious as to whether or not a finding ever came up in the vetting process, either with Bob Galvin or with Tom Rubel.
Can you all see my screen?
Yeah.
I
Okay,
can see
so,
it, but I can't read what's on it.
oh, I'm so sorry. So
No, it's my
When-
eyes, not your screen.
when we were trying to make the legal advertisement, I had to pull this back up. So Deb had reached out to Bob saying, hey, the applicant is reaching out, likely to get on the schedule. And Tom had sent the referral letter, and Bob's, saying, hey, they need a dimensional variance. And Bob's response was, are they disputing that they need a dimensional variance? And we said, no. So let me pull up what, let me make sure you can see this. This is what we submitted for review. Hold on, I'm sorry. Can you guys see that okay?
I can see an email.
Yeah, it's all we see.
You can't see
Uh,
the, okay.
No, did you open the attachment?
I
Alice?
did, and it's not, you guys can't see it?
No, we can't.
Okay. Let me figure out how to do this. Let me see if I can do it a different way. Can you see it now?
You're
No.
not
Or you're
sharing.
not sharing anymore. So is it pulled up on your screen now?
It is. I don't know why.
Okay.
Still nothing?
Can you do the share screen thing again? There we
There you
go.
There,
move
can you
in.
see that?
Well,
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
well,
Okay. So
you see the
that's our,
referral letter, right?
yep, so that's our referral letter. It was filled out. I gotta be honest with you, I'm not April 23rd. And your request requires a dimensional variance from the minimum setback of 50 feet.
Okay.
And that was the back and forth between Bob Galvin, Tom Rubel, myself, and Deb.
So
So
you
we-
can, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. Greg.
I was just saying.
That's all I got for you.
They concluded that this is a dimensional variance.
Correct. That was the feedback that we got from them.
Okay. All right.
So Greg, really quick, I got a question. Were you suggesting that the applicant would actually apply for a section 6 finding? Like that's what he'd have to request and we'd have to approve or deny? Just,
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
to me, it looks like it's a finding. I'm not sure.
yeah,
Because it's an extension of an existing non-conforming. Usually,
yeah,
if you're going from conforming into non-conforming, it's a variance. If you're extending a non-conformity, as long as you're not significantly more detrimental, my understanding that constituted a section 6 special permit finding.
I'm wondering, Greg, if they looked at this because it wasn't habitable space. If they were looking at it differently, like it's just like, how like they don't count like stairs with the landing. Is any of this making sense to you? I'm just curious if that played into this.
I'm not sure if it played into it or not. It might have. Although I don't recall coming across that situation. Not being privy to the conversation, I can't say. It's just that I've never come across a situation where whether the structure has habitable space or inhabitable, decks have to conform to a zoning bylaw, and a deck is not really what I would call habitable. So I don't think it would matter. Again, I wasn't privy to any of that conversation.
Okay, so I think your point's well taken. I'm not sure of the rules here on this, but can you allow for a continuance for me to get clarity from Bob? If that's something you prefer that I do.
Um, yeah, I think it might be wise to, but, I'd like to, poll the board. What's the pleasure of the board?
Greg, if I could ask what is somewhat of a hypothetical, if we were to act on this as a dimensional variance, would there be an inherent defect in our action, whatever it might be, as opposed to dealing with it as a section 6?
Well, technically, a variance has a higher threshold of meeting the performance standards. But the drawback to that might be a concern for a precedence case.
I think if we took the approach indicated by Tom and Bob, I don't know that would be establishing a precedent where we're acting on advice of counsel. And really, I think to an extent, the term precedent is overused. Just because an entity acts one way in a certain set of circumstances,
Yeah.
They'd only be required to act similarly in an almost identical set of circumstances. So that wouldn't be based on those two reasons, that wouldn't be my concern. I'm just wondering if there's some inherent, I don't know why I say illegality, but defect in acting on it as presented versus even delaying it to get further clarification from Bob. So that's all.
So yeah, yes, Mr. Gallen.
Just with the conversation, I'm wondering, I think wondering if we're concerned about like you said, I know you don't want to overuse the word precedent, but is there a danger to where we extend the nonconformity that doesn't increase the nonconformity? Is there a situation where we'd regret allowing that, where someone else can go, you let them, maintain that nonconformity, for a greater length, but it didn't increase the nonconformity? I mean, I can't see how that would really be a problem in general. Like I said, where it's going to be consistent. So I don't think I see the danger, but I just want to make sure I'm not missing it. If it was,
No, I mean, it has been vetted through council and a zoning enforcement officer.
yeah,
So, I mean, I don't really like going against them. I
Yeah.
don't think it's appropriate to override or to do that without having a discussion with them. And that's not, certainly isn't my agenda here.
Mhm.
I just want to, I know it's almost an argument of semantics, but I just wanted to get it right. That's all.
Yeah. I think the way that you're suggesting seems logical and feels within the spirit of the law and the bylaw, but if it wouldn't be too much, I hate to drag it out.
Well, I would,
But I'd hate, but I'd like to
don't
do it.
wanna-
I'd like to do it right, and if we do it right, maybe we'll find it easier for future applicants, and even the board myself. I'd be better, better able to make a decision of this nature in the future. I think I'm in. Like I said, I hate to drag out the timeline, but I like the idea of waiting to double check the input. Like suggest about having a continuous just to double check against those two options. But
Yeah,
I'm comfortable with either decision, really.
I mean, I'm okay either way. I just want it to be done right. And I don't want to, I mean, I don't want to drag something out without good cause.
Yep.
But then, I mean, the future impacts or whatever, it would be easier in the future to be consistent one way or another.
Greg, is there any way Allison can shoot Attorney Galvin a quick email and ask that question,
I can text him right now.
or text him and see what he has to say?
Hmm.
Yeah, and if it's a variance, that's fine. I would like to know in my mind why it's a variance and not a section 6 special permit finding.
Well, the variance goes with the land, right?
Right.
What about the section 6 finding?
Now it's a special permit. It's where we find that it's not, you're not increasing or significantly increasing the nonconformity, the existing nonconformity. It's not significantly detrimental is actually the verbiage that the finding uses. But, being more detrimental is based on how much of the nonconformity are you increasing? I mean, if they increased it by the nonconformity by a half an inch, have they significantly, is it more detrimental to the neighborhood? Well, probably not. But they're not even in that situation. They've improved the nonconformity of what they're proposing. So
Okay, I did text Bob and I emailed him. Just bear in mind, he did just have a pretty significant health-related matter come up and a surgery, so I don't know if he's on like restrictions for rest or anything.
oh, I didn't know that.
He said he is a bit of a maniac. He just said, send me documents and I will be home in 5 minutes. So if you don't mind, can we just, I don't know, we can play my little I Spy something for 5
Yeah,
minutes?
we can wait 5 minutes. Just
Okay.
I just want
It's
to get
okay.
it right.
Yeah, don't apologize for wanting clarity. I think that's a fair question.
Yeah, I
Maya.
say I like the idea of waiting 5-10 more minutes rather than making the applicant wait a month and a half or something.
You
So
know,
I think our wait is
Yeah.
for the benefit of the applicant.
yeah. And for all I know, Stephen, to your point, like this was part of that transition
Mhm.
where, we all kind of jumped in when Deb was on leave. And so I don't know how much information he got before that back and forth of emails. Like, I don't know if something got lost in translation.
Yeah.
So we all are just operating from the best information we have,
Mhm.
dealing with
Yeah.
a very short staff right now.
Mm.
Now we're down a ZBA member, I don't know, does anyone have wine?
Question,
A drink?
question. Can you guys hear us?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. A question. What does any of that mean? What is a section 6 mean? Or whatever you had called it.
Yeah, it's a finding. It means that you're not in a variance situation because you're already non-conforming and you're adding to the non-conformity, but the additional non-conformity is not significantly detrimental to the surrounding residents. You're getting into legal. It's somewhat of a legal matter that's based on MGL 48, law, Massachusetts General Laws 48. I just wanted to be Right. That's all.
Oh, and as do we. It's just we're a little frazzled right now. We weren't expecting it.
Well, no, I mean, don't get frazzled. Just,
And actually, the proposed addition is less non-conforming than the existing
right.
by a half a foot, so.
Because this is existing,
Yeah,
what we're adding, it's getting better as it goes.
Oh, it's getting better.
Yes,
yep. And I think also, not that a decision has been made, but I think in a way, something that this board has done, and like Greg and the former chair, Rob and others do, is they try to find a way to empower the applicant to accomplish what they're trying to accomplish. And the Section 6 finding helps enforce that. So I'm one of the most ignorant board members, and it makes me feel more confident when I hear him talking about the Section 6 finding, because it kind of like makes it more a smooth transition to accomplish what you're trying to do. If it's the way to go, it's almost like it's already there. We're just, the sun's already shining. We're just opening our eyes and seeing it. Like you could do. It's almost like saying you can do what you're trying to do. It's just that it's just never been said out loud.
Does it
To be-
cost more money?
Oh, I don't think it's a question of money. It's just a question of what laws are obstacles to you accomplishing what you want to do, what bylaws stop you. Section 6 finding almost kind of says that the ground's already been laid. It opens the path to what you're trying to do a little bit more.
Yeah, I think another way of putting it is a Section 6 places less of a burden on you to justify what you're trying to do than a dimensional variance would.
Okay.
And a variance can be appealed too. Whereas I don't think a finding, I'm not sure as if a finding can be appealed. If it can, at least the standard, it would be a much tougher appeal. I don't think I've ever heard of anybody appealing a finding, but people appeal variances. Yeah, it's been done. It doesn't happen all the time, but it's been done.
Just in procedural terms, and maybe when Bob gets here, we can ask him, where the matter before us now is and has been advertised as a dimensional variance. I think even if it's determined that a Section 6 finding is the appropriate avenue, it's still going to have to be continued.
That's correct, Bob, because it was advertised as a dimensional variance. I'm fairly certain that that's what Bob Galvin's going to tell us,
it would have to be a whole new filing,
because it's a whole different,
right? It would be a different application.
Yep.
Instead of a variance, they'd be looking for a Section 6 finding,
correct.
Mhm.
And
which
we,
means that they would have to re-notify all the abutters and
It's
go
what I
through
was,
the whole process again.
which is financial money from us.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I was wondering.
And I'm assuming there'd be a new application fee as well.
Yes.
I can talk to Tom about the application fee. I don't,
But still, there is,
Right, but-
as Armstrong had indicated, there will be additional expenses, which
that's very true.
Oh,
Yeah.
definitely.
That was my question, actually, when I asked about finances.
Mhm.
That was,
And it'd be probably month and a half, 2 months.
isn't that
so
great?
so you'd be losing a good chunk of your building season.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I guess that was kind of at the root of one of my questions, Greg, whether it's a choice between two allowable avenues, or is it just a section?
Yeah, I mean, that I don't know. We'd have to, I mean, if if it has to be a variance, or if a variance is allowed under this situation, then we'll take it as a variance. If we have to call it a, a finding and not a variance, then we'll have to, continue.
And just in terms of the vote, Greg, is a section 6, or does a section 6 require with a 4-member board unanimity?
Yes.
Yeah, it's a special permit, yeah.
Hey, Bob Galvin.
Counselor,
Hey, how are you? Sorry, I was in my car driving when when I got the text from Allison. So,
How you doing, Bob?
good. How are you, Craig?
Good.
Just give me a moment to pull up the documents that Allison sent over. Okay.
thank you, Bob.
Sure.
Okay, I have the site plan, and I see the property on Shaw Road, and it looks like they're putting on an addition, 860 square feet. Is that true?
Yeah, yes, Bob, it is an addition of a 2-car garage. I think, and I
Okay.
don't want to speak for anyone, but I think that the heart of kind of where we're at is that there was an existing doghouse, like an entrance, small covered entrance at the exterior of the house that they want to line up the garage to for easier access to the internal part of their property.
Are you talking about the entrance on the rear of the existing home?
Correct. Yep, that's it. And so
Okay.
this went back and forth, and you might not remember this because it was kind of when the whole stuff with Deb was surfacing and we kind of were short staffed, but she had reached out saying, do they need a variance? Because I think my recollection is, and bear with me, the days are blended now. The doghouse may have not been like habitable space or something. I think Tom was looking at it as if like they needed a dimensional variance because they were short 3.5 or 4 feet, somewhere in that.
So let me ask you this. The
Mhm.
doghouse extends into the rear yard setback, okay?
Correct. Yep.
How long has the doghouse been there?
It's been there since I bought the place 25 years ago.
Okay.
But I can't speak for-
So assuming that is true, and I'm not saying it isn't, that is a pre-existing non-conforming structure because it's been there for 10 years. I don't know whether it was done with a building permit or not, but let's assume it wasn't. So if it's existed in that location, it's already into the rear yard setback. And the board would have the authority, if it believes that it can otherwise satisfy the bylaw criteria, to issue a special permit to authorize an extension of the single-family house with an attached garage, provided it doesn't, looks like it's not getting any closer to the rear yard than the pre-existing non-conforming doghouse in the rear.
Okay.
Yeah, it's 46 feet from the rear. And then it's 46.5 at its northerly post, so it's not getting any closer to the rear lot line.
Yep. And so I think where we're at, and again, I don't want to speak for the board. So you guys feel free to jump in, but we advertise this as a dimensional variance based on what may or may not have been a thorough, I can't speak to how we got to the dimensional variance, but we're operating under the assumption that they needed a dimensional variance. Greg is the chair tonight, and he seemed to think that we could do a section 6 finding.
I don't think it's a section 6 finding because you're into the rear yard setback according to this plan. But I do think you can give them a special permit under the Belalta case if you find that the proposed addition is not substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood than the pre-existing non-conforming structure.
But
Okay,
that
so-
would still require that the applicant submit a new application, correct?
If they haven't advertised for a special permit, the board would be best served to have a valid permit to issue a new notice and have it advertised 2 weeks in advance. The first one has to be at least 14 days prior to the hearing, and then the consecutive week. And I think the board could grant it, approve it as a special permit.
Can
But
the
it
same,
wouldn't-
well,
I'm sorry.
can we act on it as applied for as a dimensional variance?
Well, you can, but I don't know what the hardship would be.
Time, expense,
No, none of those are all personal hardships to the applicant.
no, I'm just talking about not acting on the variance itself. I'm talking about having them reapply under a different provision, which would cause additional financial hardship. It
Well,
may
you
not-
could waive the filing fee. You can't waive the advertising fee because it has to be advertised
Yeah.
properly. But you could waive the filing fee if you so chose.
And then we can't do anything about the costs incurred about notifying the abutters again, right?
Yeah, it looks like you have 1, 2, 3, 4 abutters, then the abutters across the street. You'd probably have a dozen abutters, maybe.
All right.
So,
And then depending on how long it takes, they're going to be losing a good part of the construction season too.
well, if
There's
we
a hun-
if we were to do it right now and they were to resubmit tomorrow, you could conceivably have it within a month, and then they'd be able to be building at the end of July or the beginning of August.
Well, that's assuming that they've got a contractor lined up on spec to
Yeah.
start work on a project that doesn't yet exist.
Yeah. It's not appropriately a variance, that I can tell you. It's a special permit, in my opinion, where the doghouse has existed where it is.
So, okay, so Bob, I understand with respect to the variance, but
Yep.
The special permit, you mentioned something under a court case versus.
Yeah, there was a Supreme Judicial
Section
Court.
6.
Yeah, there's a Supreme Judicial Court case called Belalta versus the Planning Board or Zoning Board of Brookline. And that was a Supreme Court case that said if you have a pre-existing non-conforming structure and it's already over whatever that dimensional requirement is, the board can, by special permit and not a variance, authorize the structure to become more non-conforming, meaning the structure can get closer to the rear lot line if you find that it will be not substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood.
That language sounds like a finding.
No, a
Section
section 6
6
finding is it doesn't increase the non-conforming nature of the structure.
It doesn't increase the.
Yeah, if you have a non-conforming house because the house is too close to the rear lot line,
Yeah,
but the addition you're adding will not make the house say it can meet all the side setbacks, then you make a section 6 finding that it doesn't increase the non-conforming nature of the structure, and it can be allowed as a section 6 finding. This is a little different.
so
Here you have-
section 6, let's say, the back of the house, is non-conforming, okay? And you put an addition on, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And no part of the addition is non-conforming.
Well, yes, it
all-
is. This
Okay.
is because it's not 50 feet back from the rear lot line.
No, I understand that about this. I just don't understand why this isn't the section 6 finding.
Well, because the addition that's being proposed here, okay, doesn't meet the setback requirements all around. If the garage could be slid forward, looks like a matter of 2 feet, then you could give them a section 6 finding.
So,
It wouldn't line up with the doghouse then.
right, but so if that garage met all the setbacks, the proposed
Yeah.
garage,
Yes, then you'd make a section 6 finding that you're not increasing the non-conforming nature of the structure with the addition, and that's a section 6 finding.
But why couldn't a building permit just be issued? If everything met the
Well,
setback,
if your bylaw says, and I can't remember off the top of my head, but I could figure it out in short order, that an addition to a non-conforming structure that meets the side setback requirements is permitted by right, then they don't need any zoning relief at all. The only bylaw that I'm familiar with that actually has that, well, Norwell has it now because we lost a case involving it. Duxbury has it too. So if you're taking this house as it stands right now, and you're adding an addition that meets all the setback requirements, that would be a section 6 finding that the non-conforming structure does not become any more non-conforming as a result of the addition, and it's in Duxbury and in Norwell allowed by right. But we don't have that language in the Rockland bylaw, so you have to make a section 6 finding if this addition met all the setback requirements, that it doesn't increase the non-conforming nature of the structure, and that's the end of your inquiry. This one doesn't meet all the requirements because it doesn't meet the rear setback requirements, so it's a special permit. But it's not a variance because it's not a new nonconformity. The doghouse off the back is the closest point to the structure to the rear lot line at 46 feet. And the way they've got this addition angled, the northerly end of the garage is 46 and a half. So that's not getting any closer to the rear lot line than the pre-existing non-conformity. But it doesn't comply with the bylaw, so you got to give them a special permit.
all right, well, we know what we have to do. Just a hypothetical, Bob.
Sure, go ahead.
Let's say they proposed this, but they squared off that southeast corner so that it wasn't touching the doghouse, so that it just the new structure, she
Yeah.
got it into the, was non-conforming, but it was not attached to the doghouse, which is non-conforming. Would that then become a variance?
No.
No.
If there's any point along the rear of the structure that's at 46 feet and they want to put an addition that's closer to the rear lot line, they can do that with a special permit. The section 6 finding comes in is when you have an existing non-conforming house or a structure and you want to add an addition that doesn't increase the non-conforming nature of the structure. It'd be like putting a dormer on a house, or maybe even put a second story on. The change that you're making to the house doesn't increase the non-conforming nature of the structure because you're not outside the footprint, or you're not outside the setback requirements as they exist on the lot. Yeah, section 6 finding, I think, may have been a little bit overused in the past, but a section 6 finding means that the house on the lot is non-conforming because it doesn't meet one of the dimensional requirements, and the proposed addition or the reconstruction does not result in the house becoming more non-conforming at all. Okay, so if they took the house down now and they made it 1,000 square feet instead of 1,150 square feet, and they built it in the footprint, that'd be a section 6 finding. It could even be allowed by right if it met all the dimensional setbacks.
Right. Well, this is the first time I heard that the section 6 finding explained like this. So I was
So Greg, you're probably more familiar with these because of your experience as a PE, but anytime you have a non-conforming structure and you want to put an addition on it, and that addition will comply with all the dimensional setbacks, all they need is a section 6 finding that they're not increasing the non-conforming nature of the structure by adding the addition. And that's a perfect use of the section 6 finding. This doesn't fit squarely into that hole or the section 6 finding because the applicant's proposed addition, okay, does not meet the rear yard setback, okay? If they could trim off a little bit on the back and they could come within the rear yard setback and the side yard setback and the front yard setback, it would be just a section 6 finding.
But the plan as existing now can be resubmitted along with an application for a special permit.
This is a special permit that is attainable based on my experience with Rockland's decision making. And it's actually, someone would have to prove that doing this will be substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood. And we're talking about a foot or two along an existing setback that's already 46 feet. So it's hard to conceive of a situation where that would be substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood.
And I know, Bob, you've already gone over this, and I'm sorry for asking you again.
Oh, go ahead, Bob.
But given the notice requirements that they'll have to meet and whatever else takes up time between now and when it's heard again, when is the soonest this could be put on our calendar?
Well, if you got it advertised in the newspaper next week, I don't think you can get it advertised this week. If you could get it advertised next week, that would mean from, let's just say it's next Wednesday, for example, okay, which I believe is the 9th. If you advertised it the first time on the 9th, you could advertise it again on the 16th, and then you could have a hearing on it on the 23rd. If we just use Wednesdays as the publication date. The first publication of the notice of the public hearing has to be at least 14 days prior to the opening of the public hearing.
And again, a question you've already answered.
Take your time. I'm here for you until you have no more questions.
In terms of the waivable fees, you would indicate that there was, I think, one.
I think you could waive the filing fee. Okay. The town has out-of-pocket expense for postage to the notice to the abutters, and it has publication expense. So I don't think you could waive those.
Okay. Thank you.
I thought those were my.
The zoning board always is responsible for giving notice to abutters and arranges for the publication. If the applicant is paying those directly, that's fine with me. But the board is responsible for giving the mailed notice to the people on the abutters list.
Right, but I'm responsible to pay for it.
Yes, yeah, you'd pay for the postage.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So this whole application has already cost me over $1,000 and cost me about 2 months. And so I guess my question is, where was this in April? Because I only did what you guys told me to do, and now you're telling me to do something else, which is probably going to cost me another $1,000.
So this is not directed to the applicant. We feel awful for it, but ultimately, the board is responsible for doing the right thing. If we give you the wrong relief and you go to refinance your house or sell your house, and someone finds out that the hearing didn't take place in a validly advertised hearing, you get a problem and you won't be able to sell your house. You could have a problem with your mortgage. So
in the future, when somebody drops off an application, why doesn't somebody from the board say, no, this isn't a dimensional variance, this is a 6?
So when someone files an application in the town of Rockland, the building commissioner's office typically looks at it and said, this is what I think the right relief is. Okay. I'm not familiar with what the building commissioner decided in this particular case or filled out in terms of a referral. But as I've been doing this for 33 years, and I'm not perfect, but I'm pretty experienced in it. I've argued non-conforming cases all the way to the SJC. I'm trying to explain some really very complicated tasks, and you can even see there's a little bit of confusion as to what distinguishes what they call a Section 6 finding from a special permit or even a variance. And it's important to be correct here so that we don't create a problem for you going down the pipe.
I get it, but I think you can see my frustration.
Sure.
I-
And
mean,
you know, if you don't
told-
mind me jumping in here for a second, you know, as previously explained, you know, I share your frustration. Your application came in a time where we had a huge shift in staff. And we were trying to retrieve emails back and forth. We were kind of operating with one hand tied behind our back for a little bit. And so I'm very sympathetic to your frustration. I think we all share a frustration. If there was a way for us to be more accommodating, we would, but we find ourselves, you know, all in the same situation with you. And I guess I'm just asking for a little bit of grace here. While
Yeah, no, we would like to talk to somebody about getting our money back for this whole entire disaster. We've gone through a lot this month personally, not that that's your problem, but we buried my husband's mother, my father, and now we're taking care of his father. We were looking forward to this night, and everything just got thrown in our faces for something that we counted on you guys, well, not all of you, but some of you, to put us in the right direction, and that did not happen. So now financially, we have to give out more money, waste more time. So no, our sympathy towards you guys, I'm sorry. We have gone through a lot with our family this couple of months, and this was just not okay. And in that time, we were trying to find emails and talk to somebody at the board, talk to somebody in the building department, and we just kept on getting shuffled around. So no, we're not going to be sympathetic to anybody right now. We are very upset.
Can you say a little bit more about that? Was there a time, I'm trying to piece together, I'm sorry if I missed an email. I didn't.
A hold of Debbie, Deb or Debbie. My husband would call. She was supposed to call back. He'd go speak to somebody at the building department. He would say, "Okay, this is what you're gonna do. You're gonna go see Debbie. Debbie's gonna email you later on." She never emailed. She didn't respond. So then he finally went up and he met with you, which was wonderful. Once he met with you, things come. But this was almost a month back and forth trying to find her and somebody at the building department to talk to each other. That's not acceptable. We were patient because we kept on being told, I don't see a problem with this. I don't see a problem with this by many people. And now we have this. And like I said, in the meantime, my husband's mother got sick. My father passed away. And now we're taking care of my father-in-law. So we're done being sympathetic and patient. So this was not fair. And we would like to speak to somebody who's going to pay us back for the expense that we had to already give out now that we have to pay more money. Because that's the only thing that's going to be reasonable here.
Allison, the only way this could change would be for you to probably meet with the town administrator and discuss it. But, you know, ultimately what the correct zoning relief is both a function of what the advice they get at the town building department, but it's also, you know, they have a engineer that may know something, and a lot of people do come in with their own lawyers, and a lot of people don't like to pay lawyers because they cost a lot of money to do what should be pretty straightforward. But
lawyer
but I also don't think it's unreasonable that they relied on the information that they were given.
Thank you.
I think we all feel badly for them because we could all imagine being in this applicant's situation. And it's unfortunate, but it did happen, and no one's blaming the applicant. That's why I was suggesting that if Allison spoke to the town administrator, you know, perhaps we could see if there was another way to do it. Okay. But I think what's most important for the board to do is to act as quickly as possible. And instead of placing these applicants on at your next scheduled meeting, maybe you agree to have a special meeting, which means you all have to take a night out of your private lives to help this couple along to get this done as soon as possible.
Yeah, I can support them however they want. And Renee, I will connect with Doug Lapp tomorrow and see if there's a way if we can cover the cost of the advertisement. If that's something you're amicable to, and we'll get you scheduled as soon as we possibly can.
Yeah, we definitely want it covered, that's for sure, or or a check written back to us.
Yeah, I hear your frustration. We wanna
It's
Keep
not
it
it's not a promise. It's a request that we'll try. Okay.
But we've already had promises that we didn't understand
Well,
anyway.
no, I don't want to I want to make sure it's crystal clear as the attorney for the town. We can't promise you that, but we can ask and we can try. And if we
Mhm.
can do it, we will. If we can't, we'll tell you that and be upfront with you. But what the board can do to try to help you is waive the filing fee. It has the authority to do that. The board could schedule this on a night when they could get a quorum together in about 3 weeks. If we could get a revised application, if the applicant wants some assistance with the application, it's not too complex, Allison. It's a special permit, okay?
I can handle all of that.
Yep. So, we could get them ostensibly a permit, in about 3 weeks.
Greg, if I may,
Yes.
earlier Allison had a memo from the building inspector that he suggested this was a variance.
He did. So I can pull that back up. I don't know if you have it. I'll actually forward it to you, to Bob, so that you can review it. I think what happened is that Deb had sent you an email, and I don't know everything that was in it. So I'm gonna resend that to you. Maybe you can review it, and maybe you can help me fill in the blanks with this next application.
You want me to help you with that, Allison?
No, just I think, I don't know how helpful this information is going to be for you, but I think it will help offer clarity on how we ended up where we are. And I'll just send that to you. I'm stuck here. Again, I think this was one of the situations where there was, we had a shortage of staff, and then tried to go back and piece together where we were left off, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think the best way would be helpful to the Armstrongs in a bad situation now.
Yeah.
Is to see if we could have a meeting in 3 weeks and get this thing advertised next week.
Agreed.
So, and certainly waive the filing fee with the town. You can ask Doug whether the town would be able to cover the advertisement and the notice fees.
Yep.
That's about all we can do for the Armstrongs, I think, if they didn't apply for a special permit. Yeah, I'm looking at the referral letter. It says a variance. I don't believe it's a variance.
Yep. I think what Bob is referring to is some email correspondence that Deb sent along as to how we got here. I'm not sure it's helpful, but in the backdrop, it'll just give you a little bit more context.
So by next Wednesday, we have to have all the paperwork in.
So the most important thing is for the board now to find a date where it could provide a quorum of its members to meet. And the first publication of the public hearing has to be 14 days before that date. So my guess is you may have to advertise it in the Ledger or the Enterprise. And because they were daily instead of a weekly. But it can be done in 3 weeks. Next week, and then 2 weeks later, you could have the public hearing. So I think the first thing the board should do is find a date you know, for a special meeting of the board. And then you can back into everything else. And if the Armstrongs need some assistance, Allison, you can offer it to them, and I'll look at any applications so that their application is correct.
Sounds great.
So, but the application needs to be done ASAP though, right? Like I need to come in tomorrow.
If Allison, are you working tomorrow?
I have a funeral, but if, you know, I'm happy to kind of do the application on their behalf and get it submitted for them.
It should
Okay.
just be an application for a special permit, Allison.
Yeah, it won't take me anything at all. I'm happy to share that
It's-
with the Armstrongs before I submit it, and you if you want, but I can
It's
take
just
time.
under the Rockland zoning bylaw non-conforming structure section. I'll tell you what section it is.
Okay.
Looking it up now.
And are you gonna be emailing Doug Lapp to let him know that I'll be there tomorrow to talk about how we're gonna remedy this financially?
I will send him an email. Yep.
Okay, you don't-
I wouldn't just go down there. I would ask to, you know, speak to him. And I mean, Doug is a pretty accommodating gentleman. So, but I don't know what his schedule is, and I wouldn't want you to go down there and wait.
But so much crazy too. So, I mean, you know, hopefully our town manager is in his office at some point tomorrow. It's the weekend, the day before a holiday weekend. So, I mean, I would think he'd want to get some stuff done.
Sure. I mean, if you're comfortable with Renee, I'm happy to also email him and ask if we can cover the cost for the second legal notice and just share that information back with you if you.
No, I'd rather talk to him face to face, please, because, you know, I just need to know that we're actually being heard, because I know the experience in this town can be kind of tricky sometimes. So I would like to actually see him face to face. So, if you can email him, I'll also email him, let him know I'll be down there sometime tomorrow to discuss a refund or some sort of financial help.
Rena, if I could suggest maybe like 8:30, 8:45, call his office and request to speak with him tomorrow instead of just going in there. It might,
Do both. I'll do both.
it's just a suggestion.
Thank you. So, do you guys need us for anything else? Because I do have to get my father-in-law to bed, and he's been sitting here patiently waiting. Say hi.
Bob, what do we do with this application now?
Don't take any action on it tonight. Continue it to a date and time certain when you pick a date, and then you can grant the other relief, okay, and you can deny this one as moot, okay?
So we continue this one to another to a date to be determined.
Mrs. Armstrong, is there any dates that you're aware of that you wouldn't be available, say, toward the end of the month?
No.
Okay, thank you.
So, Bob?
Yes, I'm here.
So we're gonna continue this hearing to the date that we're gonna hear the special permit application.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Do we need to make a motion tonight to waive the fees for the new application?
I would recommend it so that the Armstrongs know that your board is doing everything you have the authority to do right now.
I will make that motion.
Second.
All right. Second it. All right.
Make sure you do a roll call vote, please.
Yeah. All in favor, Mr. Galley,
Yes.
Mr. Baker Senior,
Yes.
Mr. Baker Junior,
Absolutely.
and I'm a yes as well. So, all right. So the
And now
board has
I'll
voted.
make another motion to continue the public hearing on 64 Shaw Road till the date to be determined by Allison on the filing.
You have to continue to a date and time certain.
So what did we say? The first available would be August 23rd?
Well, I
think
think if you got
Or
this
Jul-
advertised by the 9th of July, you could
Yep.
have a one item hearing on the 23rd.
Or July 23rd?
Yes.
I saw him a couple of days ago.
Okay.
No, but I didn't know whether it was him or not.
You know, you
Is
could
that
do
you?
it at, you could do it at 6 o'clock. You just have to arrange for the Zoom and the reference, the posting to be up too.
I know it's a me problem and not a board problem, but if it's 6 o'clock, I won't be there. I won't be able to be there.
So,
Yeah,
do it,
I was gonna ask you that, yeah.
do it at the
Can
first
we-
time where you know all four of you can be there.
Yeah. Can we do it on the 24th? Because I have planning board meetings on Wednesdays.
If we can do 7:30 on the 24th, I'm fine. I'm fine.
Does that work for everybody on the board?
Why
I
could-
don't like Thursday, but I'll do it. I have to skip dinner with my mother.
Why couldn't we
I don't know if
Could
I'm
we get
gonna
this
skip.
advertised by the
I'm-
7th?
I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm not skipping dinner with my mother right now. We got a very sick family member and I'm just not gonna not be around right now for
Okay,
that dinner.
Bob, can I ask a follow-up question to this 2-week
Certainly.
notice? So the first, if we could get it in on like a Tuesday, like a Monday, or like, I'm not sure, right? But could we do it on a Tuesday? Like, can it be the same day of the hearing? The second,
No,
Yep.
it has
It
to
has
be
to be
7
the-
days before.
okay, all right.
The second advertisement has to be 7 days before. The board could proceed without Mr. Armstrong present. I mean, they've explained what's going on. I've told you what the standard is. I don't think that there's a lot of controversy. Has anybody appeared to oppose this request?
No.
No
I mean, it
members of the
sounds to
public.
me like the board is, likely to be favorable to this. If Mr. Armstrong doesn't want to come, he doesn't, because of a commitment that he has with his family, the board could still proceed. It doesn't need any more than his application and his plan.
If there wasn't 4 members, it would still have to be a three people to vote for it, right?
You need to grant this special permit, you need 4 members of a 5-member board, and where you have a vacancy right now, you need all 4 members to vote in favor.
So,
A majority vote does not work.
so does the 23rd work for everyone?
I would be able to attend the 23rd.
At 7:30?
Yes. I would be available.
Oh, well, I'm sorry, Greg, that can't because you've got the
That's a
plan.
Wednesday.
Yeah, I've got work. It's a planning board
Yeah,
meeting,
I'm sorry.
unfortunately. On the
Greg, what time
23rd,
does your hearing start with the planning board?
6:30.
If you guys met at 6:15 remotely, probably wouldn't take you more than 15 minutes to get this thing done. If you could call it on your cell phone, Greg, you could probably get it done.
Yeah,
I can't guarantee that I'm gonna be here at 6:30.
Oh, okay, all right. Well,
Could we do it on the 22nd?
Commute.
yeah, what's wrong with the 22nd?
Not enough time.
No,
if you could get the advertisement in,
why can't we advertise it by the 8th?
The 7th.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
7th or the 8th. Is it impossible?
I'd have to get it in tomorrow by noon, I think, right?
no,
I
if
think.
you get it in before next Tuesday, then you could meet on the 22nd.
I'll get it in before next Tuesday.
By the 7th. If you got it in by the 7th, you could do it on the 22nd.
Okay,
Correct.
it'll be done.
And then I'll make a motion to continue the public hearing for 64 Shore Road till July 22nd at 7:30.
Second,
Okay, all in favor, Mr. Galley,
I'm in favor, yes.
Mr. Baker Jr.,
yes.
Mr. Baker Senior,
Yes.
and I'm a yes as well. Okay, all right. So it's
So Allison, do you need anything from me within the next couple days? Like,
No,
are you gonna,
I'll take care of it and I will email you. I'm going to also email Doug now to expect your wife down, to talk about the reimbursement, and I'm gonna see if we can troubleshoot a way to get that for, you know, not a reimbursement, but like if we can cover the cost of the advertising.
okay,
All right,
Alice, does the application have to be filed before the advertisement is submitted?
it'll be done, the application will be done tomorrow.
Okay, thank you.
It's like, something sucked. And like, it's screaming throughout the whole.
And again, Jeff, please apologize to your wife. I, you know, this is no fault of yours. You did everything that I asked you to do. I realize like timing is everything. We're just in a bad place right now by no fault of your own, but we'll do everything we can to make it right by you.
okay, thank you.
And before we conclude, I just want to thank Allison and Bob for the work they did at putting this back together.
Yes, thank you, Bob. Thank you,
Yeah.
Alice. We
If you guys,
appreciate
if you also need any help with Allison, I'm happy to help you as you're going through your little transition here, okay?
Thank you all.
Thanks, Bob.
Okay,
Thank you all.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
good night.
Good
Good
night.
night.
Thanks.
Okay, so Allison, I didn't see anything else on the agenda here.
We have nothing, and it's been really quiet thus far. We haven't had any applications, so I'm gonna focus on resolving 64 Shaw tomorrow and
Okay.
try and get the Armstrong some clarity from
From Doug.
Doug.
Yeah.
You know, I can't say enough how like frustrating this is. You know,
Yeah.
again, we had an overlap where clearly things just weren't being responded to. We didn't have
Yep.
access to everything, and we were just operating from a place of just trying to clean up and move things forward the best we knew how.
I gotta say one thing, I gotta say, the decision to handle it the way we're handling it, if you were to take away all of their family crises, I think we'd still be doing what we're doing.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
agree.
like
Oh,
I
I
said,
agree.
so I just, you know what I mean? Just like I said, I feel for their family and their times, you know, their bad times, but this in and of itself, I think we're justified in trying to do what you're trying to do.
Absolutely. I
I
mean,
agree.
although we feel bad for them, this isn't an act of pity. It's an act of, we see what happened.
Yeah.
It was an unfortunate issue that came at a contingency situation time with the board and staff and whatever, and we're just trying to make it right as best we can.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all that all of us can do, is just, we're all operating from the best information that we have in front of us at the time and trying to make decisions that move everyone forward in the right direction. So I'm gonna get going on this tomorrow. I do have a funeral, but I will handle this. It'll get done. The advertisement will get submitted and we'll do right by the Armstrongs.
Okay, very well. So with
I got a
that,
question.
yes.
Will they, with the special permit, will they have to wait the 21-day appeal period?
Yeah. I mean, it's a special permit. I don't see why they wouldn't. But
And there's
even
no way that we can waive that, right?
no,
That it's a statutory requirement.
yeah,
I'm
We-
just
we
trying to
would-
think of things that we could help them along with.
yeah. I mean, we're doing the right thing. You don't know. I mean, it's cleaner. They'll have a clean title to their property now. It'll be right. It's unfortunate, but it's still the right thing to do. I mean, I feel bad bringing it up. I'm the one who brought it up,
Don't
but
feel bad. You shouldn't feel bad at all.
No, not at
no,
all.
no, I know.
You were
but-
you were looking out for them, but you're also looking out for the town.
right.
Yeah.
And that's
And
what
besides,
we're supposed to
you
do.
want you're trying to do it right, which is what we're trying to do now.
Correct.
Yeah, there's no, I don't think there's any blame. Sometimes things just happen and it's no one's fault and it is what it is. But I feel like
Right.
we're doing it right now.
Yeah, we're doing the right thing.
And if you hadn't said what you said, we wouldn't be going in what seems to be the right direction.
Right, then we would have issued them a variance and then it would have screwed up their mortgage and everything else. If they ever tried to sell it or refinance down the line.
Yeah,
You're a tragic hero in this, Greg. You feel guilty, but you did the right thing.
the unsung hero.
Yes.
All right, well, with that, can I entertain a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Okay,
Second,
seconded. All in favor, Mr. Baker Senior,
yes.
Mr. Baker Junior,
Yes.
Mr. Galley,
Yes.
and myself is a yes. All right, well,
Everybody
Good
have a
night,
good
everyone.
holidays.
Have a happy 4th and thank you all very much.
yes,
Thank you.
have a
Good night.
happy and safe 4th.
I'll see you on the 22nd.
All righty,
All
Very
right.
good.
Good night, guys.
good
Good night.
night.